Guys, the pads are coming on today. We're starting to hit today for real. Eagles training camp. We're going to talk about it. We got a jam-packed show with great guests, so much fun happening. Let's just talk football so we can forget about the debacle of the Phillies. Trending in the AM, we're live, taking all your thoughts and opinions on the Eagles in 60 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody. And as Duck likes me to say, good morning, South Philly. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. We are live. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You know the drill. Wherever you are watching, whatever you are doing, stop and hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button, that follow button on whichever platform you are watching it on. Do what you can to get the word out and to get everybody in the conversation. Because we're talking Eagles football. We're talking writing books. We're talking about exceeding expectations in life. And we're talking about the pads being on today. And I got a fun conversation that I think is going to surprise people what the response is. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, every single morning at Beard and Knowledge. We got Diebs. He's on break. So he's here with me this morning. We might see him a couple times over the next couple weeks. But good morning, Diebs. How you doing today?
Good morning, man. Always a pleasure to hang out with the great one. Man, we are about a week and a half away from the first Eagles preseason game. Happy to not talk about the Phillies and everyone jumping off the bridge there, but that's not me. I'm excited. I'm full Eagles mode. We're less than a month away from college football starting as well. I'm all footballed up.
Yeah, I'm all footballed up too. And we're the Phillies are depressing right now. They really are. And I'm trying to find, and I haven't figured it out yet, an Eagles analogy of what's going on with the Phillies, because I don't think comparing it to last year's Eagles is the right thing. So I want to look forward, not back. And I had a couple different things, and I want to start with the defense with you today. And I want to talk defense because there was one topic I didn't get to cover yesterday that I want to touch on. And then I want to talk a little bit about Nolan Smith and the defensive line. But I want to start with the cornerback room because a lot of hype and a lot of talk has been circulating about the cornerbacks, the safeties, and all of that conversation, how deep it is. But I didn't get a chance yesterday on the show to talk about James Bradbury and his honest conversation that he had with the media. I think it was after Friday or Saturday's practice. He spoke and talked about he was the one approaching the coaches about safety. He was the one approaching, what can I do to make this team? I know I might not make this team. What can I do to be better? And there's been this trend and this thread rolling through this whole offseason with the defense because of Vic Fangio, and it's honesty. And everybody is speaking their mind very honestly, not in a negative way. This is not like calling people out or anything like that. And A, James Bradbury's honesty, but B, the defense as a whole's honesty. Josh Sweat was very honest yesterday. What do you take about the fact that everyone is just so blatantly like looking themselves in the mirror and being honest with the situation they're in, coming from the situation they were in last year?
It's extremely refreshing, and you nailed it. Like last year, there was a lot of finger pointing last year. What's up, Quentin? What's going on, Davey? Whether it was the coaches or the players, whose offense was it? Why aren't we adjusting to the blitz? Why aren't we blitzing our linebackers? why is Hassan Reddick dropping into coverage? I mean, it was just a hot mess, top to bottom. And it's been really nice. We talked a lot about Vic Fangio all throughout this offseason, and he's kind of the leader of that accountability thing. And there's a true trickle-down effect. I think that's going to happen, not just with guys like James Bradberry, but let's be honest, the writing's on the wall. 11.1 missed tackle percentage. He's not a good tackler. I don't know. He's not going to hang out at safety. It's not going to work out. But it truly benefits the Eagles for them to find just an ounce of ability to get on the football field, because he costs more if he's not on the team than if he's on the team. But then you go down to guys like Jalen Carter. We all know about his struggles last year with conditioning. He's a guy who has a history of character concerns. He's a guy that, has all pro potential. And I love the idea that Vic Fangio is coming in and holding this team accountable. Look at Devin White. Devin White being the kind of the grown-up in the room of a young defense that's kind of taking some guys under his wing. I am really interested in how Vic Fangio is going to run this defense, because it's going to look a lot different than last year, potentially. And that means blitzing our linebackers. It's something we didn't do last year. It's something that, I don't think they could have done with Zach Cunningham. And those guys were always a step too slow to be able to do that. But you look at Nolan Smith, you look at Zach Bond, you look at guys that, even Jeremiah Trott Jr., guys that really thrive in that role, that could utilize these guys as chess pieces. And let's be honest, this defense was filled with coaches playing checkers.
Back to James Bradberry for a second. And I get what you're saying with the tackling percent or missed tackle percent and stuff like that. Like, is there a path for him that you're saying there's almost no chance that he makes this team, but is there a path to him not just being a straight cut? Can he show something in camp here where maybe someone throws a 7th round pick towards the Eagles? Like, I see, what's his name? I wasn't even thinking of this before the show, so I forget his name. The Rams cornerback. There've already been several season-ending injuries throughout camps, across the league. Obviously, one being a starter with the Rams cornerback there. Is there a path where somebody's like, all right, look at his honesty. Look that he's trying to do whatever it takes for the team. All right, we can look past one really, really atrocious season, and there's a path. Or the Eagles look at what they've got at safety and be like, we could do much worse. Because the theory I keep spreading, or the narrative I keep talking about since the end of last season, actually, is that it costs you the same to keep them or cut them. You know what I mean? Like, isn't there a path that something positive can come out of it? At the very least, his veteran leadership and experience and honesty can at least trickle down to the young kids, because it is a very young secondary.
For me, it's all about special teams. It's something I want to see from James Bradberry this preseason. If he doesn't play special teams during the preseason, he's out. Because you look at a guy like Sidney Brown, who should be starting to ramp up practice soon. He's probably not going to be ready week 1, but that's another guy that I want on the football field over a guy like James Bradberry. And those are some things that you should be looking at. It's all special teams. You don't keep your number 3, number 4 safety on the roster if he's not playing special teams.
Yeah, that's fair enough right there. I just really true, and everybody's commenting on it, about how we appreciate the honesty. We do. We're Eagles fans are not dumb. Philadelphia fans of all sports, we're not dumb. We can read between the teeth. Yeah, we get overly passionate, like we're jumping off the bridge with the Phillies and whatnot. We're passionate like that. We defend Joel Embiid when he's getting massively criticized because of Olympic play. We're very passionate, but we can see it, and we can see through the fake sayings and the cliches. So we do love the honesty. Sidney Brown, I know you say Sidney Brown should be ramping up soon. He's not back week 1 probably. I foresee a scenario where Sidney Brown's not around till week 6, week 8, something like that. So you're still looking at, and you're seeing it a lot with Vic Fangio. I've seen reports of Avonte Maddox back at safety, James Bradberry, obviously, and there was another cornerback. I forget who I read the other day, took reps with second-team safeties. There's a lot of positionless playing going on right now.
Versatility has been the theme of this entire training camp so far. Not just defense. You mentioned Avonte Maddox, and How about Quinyon Mitchell playing the slot to offense? Mekhi Becton playing guard, and guys are kind of playing all over the place. And that's been definitely, I think, the biggest positive is they've got talent and depth at some key positions, especially in the secondary on that defensive side.
No, and I love to see it. Sticking with the cornerbacks for a second, we are seeing all these different people running opposite of Darius Slay. You've read all the reports, I'm sure, just like I've read every day after practice ends. I go to Tim McManus, I go to ESPN, I literally go to Chris Franklin, I go to everyone's page, I read every person's recap, and I try to pull it all together. And I still, to this moment, don't know. I know it's only been a week of practice. I have no idea yet. I thought 4, 5, 6 practices in, I'd have an idea who is starting opposite of Darius Slay, and I have no clue. It could be Keely Ringo. It could be Isaiah Rodgers. It probably could be Quinyon Mitchell, even to an extent. Like, I have no idea which direction they're even thinking at this point.
It's up in the air, man. And that's what's fun about this. Anthony's in the chat. We talked about this last night. Amazing guest. Go check him out. Pro Football Network.
He'll be on this show on Friday. Thanks for stealing that. I locked them up first, and then you stole
it. Okay.
Anthony, we fight on this show.
My gut feeling is it's going to be Isaiah Rodgers on the outside, but I think Keely Ringo has just as much of a chance. I think he's way better on the outside than he is in the slot, just like Eli Ricks. But Keely Ringo, amazing athlete. And then you look at a guy like Quinyon Mitchell, who's got much more twitch. He's a much better athlete, much natural fit for the slot position. And you look at how much the Eagles run nickel and dime. I think I'm a big fan of the Eagles slowly ramping up Quinyon Mitchell. He's a guy that's coming from the Mid-American Conference, and he's a guy that just let him kind of learn the ropes at a slower pace. That's kind of the same thing I wanted out of Cooper DeJean. Slot, outside, safety. I'm not saying Quinyon's going to play safety, maybe Cooper, but that's definitely my vibe.
How do you feel about the Cooper? Like, I brought it up that it was a pretty big deal, him getting hurt and missing the first couple weeks, and everyone's like, it's no big deal. I think that missing the first 3 weeks of your first training camp in the NFL as a rookie is a massive, massive big deal, and almost to an extent puts him at he's not getting cut. I'm not trying to say that, but puts him at the back of the line where he's going to have to really fight for any playing time in the regular season outside of special teams.
Yeah, this isn't your 2022, 2023 Eagles. This is your a secondary that's loaded. Some really good names are going to get cut from this roster. And Cooper's a guy that I thought had a real chance to really make a name for himself in the slot, eventually maybe getting a spot start here or there at safety as the season progressed. And then, once we see that, I expect him to crush it. And what I love about Coop is he's a great tackler. He's excellent seeing everything in front of him and making a play, just like Quinyon Mitchell. His click and close ability is as elite as it gets, just like Coop. So it sucks.
Yeah. I keep thinking back to this, and we're agreement. The odds are against James Bradbury for making this team, but realistically, until Sidney Brown comes back, they only have 3 safeties. Is this more of a scenario where I love to track the initial 53-man roster every year in and year out, and some years you see it different. Like last year, they only had 3 linebackers, quote unquote, make the team last year because they looped guys into the defense end. Do you think this is a year where there's not going to be a cornerback or a safety? It's just going to be the whole defensive back room as a whole, and that's how they make their final decisions? Not, all right, we got to keep 7 cornerbacks and 4 safeties. Well, we just need 10 or 11 guys that can play anywhere because that's what Vic Fangio's system's going to be. That's how I see it playing out. I see it playing out in theory, maybe even only 3 traditional safeties making the initial 53.
I like it, Phil. I haven't really thought about it that much. I still think
I got every position written down here in my notebook since 2018. What made the roster? I love tracking this kind of stuff. So I'm not normally a stat guy, but that's one of the Eagles things that I do track.
Yeah, you can probably pencil in right now Reed and Gardner Johnson as the starters.
Obviously.
I'm really intrigued what Mekhi Garner shows you during the preseason. He's a corner that has moved to safety, fits that versatility build that Howie loves with this defense. Bradbury's James Bradbury. I still think Howie probably brings in another safety. Safety is one of the more important positions for Fangio's defense. Justin Simmons is still out there, as crazy as it sounds. I still think they probably make a move there.
Yeah. I love Noom's comment here. Are we as loaded as we say we are in the secondary? And I think this is a fear in the back of my head, Nooms. The secondary was very bad last year. It really was. And you're taking James Bradbury out. You're putting in Rodgers. Keely Ringo was still part of the secondary last year. I mean, he was a rookie, but it's not like he did anything exceptional to change the tides last year. Isaiah Rodgers. There have been people in the comments section, Diebs, of this show over the past couple of weeks saying that they don't think Isaiah Rodgers is as good as we make him out to be.
Maybe.
That he had weaknesses, in Indy when he played there. He was just an okay corner with return ability.
Yeah.
Are we overrating this secondary because we're so desperate for it to be better from last year? I won't lie. That's trickled around the bottom right corner of my brain a few times lately.
It's all about upside, right? And that's what you're hoping. It's a necessary evil for this Eagles defense to learn on the ropes, let these guys grow, let these guys develop. The Eagles defense over the last couple of years, let's be honest, they've been hesitant at throwing these guys into the fire. And guys like Nolan Smith, who's had a terrific camp so far, we can talk about him next. But that's what this defense needs. The Eagles have a ton of money now tied up into Jalen Hurts. They need to go that Kansas City Chiefs route and let these young kids play. And hopefully by, November, we know what they're about and we see them progressing on a positive trend and we're rolling. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's bodies or gamers. I like this comment from Mister. This is thinking outside the box. I didn't think about this. I still think the odds of Bradbury making the team are slim, but maybe he plays well enough. And Howie Roseman's like, I'd rather keep a known entity and what he can bring to the locker room if he'll accept a contract renegotiation. And then you don't have to go out and get Justin Simmons or whoever out there and bring somebody new into the fold already. It's at least a creative thought process right there.
Yeah, I don't think he's got.
Yeah, I don't think it happens either. And
it's not like he lost a half a step. This dude was torched every single time he was on the football field. He's just not fast enough.
It's not fast enough. The lack of a desire to tackle, literally everything. He just looks so disinterested throughout the whole season.
The Eagles literally couldn't keep him on the field last year. Every single time he was on the field, the defense was targeting. That's what NFL offenses do. They will find your weakness, they will expose it, and that's what they will do with James Bradbury. If he for a single second takes snaps away from a young player on this defense, we're gonna have problems.
Yeah, and just so you know, K1, we only brought up James Bradbury to start the show because we were talking about the honesty coming out of camp from Fangio, Bradbury, admitting their things. I love when somebody says, all right, I'm not good enough at my job anymore. I'll take a different job if it keeps me around and stuff like that. That's all we're doing. And I did see your Paris Campbell question. We will talk Paris. Oh, look at that. We
just chill.
Chilling, watching Trending the AM, or no care in the world about what's going on Trending the AM.
She's having a good time. She's loving me being home. I'm usually.
I can't bring my dogs. I can't bring my dogs anywhere near the shows because my dogs all suffer from massive gas and it makes me want to throw up as they're laying listening to me talk. We actually, I don't know if you know, this is a side joke, and that's what happens on Training the AM. Side jokes all the time. They actually we call it potpourri for dogs. It's like a pill that helps make their gas smell better. And we actually found it, and it actually does work.
That's so funny.
It is. It's really bad. I hope Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has it 2 years later. I hope Mitchell can make the transition. Hope DeJean stays healthy. I hope there's a lot of hopes. I hope a lot of hopes in his comment there. And I get it. I understand. I think you meant Bradbury is the type of jam that goes on the toast. Burnt toast. Whose nickname back in the 90s was Toast? He was a cornerback for the Eagles. Izell Jenkins, I think was his name. He was nicknamed Toast because he got burned all the time. That was the WIP saying every single day on their shows. It's like Robin Peter. Yeah, we'll see you in a few minutes right here on this show, my man. Bradbury, the crumbs on the plate after we finished. Is Sirianni a head coach or a quality controller going around? Oh my goodness gracious! All right, we're not making today about Nick Sirianni just yet. Cap hit this year is only $13 million. His contract is not affecting Absolutely. When you see all the contracts being given out to Tua and Jordan Love,
What
just
is
makes
Dallas
Howie.
doing, man? What is Dallas doing? I don't understand what Dallas.
I saw rumors, but I don't really. Yeah, Izell Jenkins. It took me a second to get that name out there, but I appreciate you guys reinforcing that. All right, one other thing here I want to bring up defensively here, because in about 10 minutes, Peanut will be joining us for a few minutes to talk football, but to talk something else that's really special to him. Al Harris did they just bring Al Harris in as a consultant or something like that, or a defensive coach or something? I don't
He's
know.
a defensive coach for, I think, Green Bay, or he was.
I just saw his name pop up on Twitter recently.
He's actually one of the more young, upcoming coaches in the league.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. So yesterday's practice, from all the reports that we talk about, we all follow all the guys that are reporting every day on these camps. We give credit to some, we don't give credit to others, whatever, but the name that popped out yesterday, and something I've talked about a lot on this show, is Bryce Huff replacing Hassan Reddick. Bryce Huff's not the name that showed off yesterday. And maybe I started to think to myself, maybe I'm thinking of replacing Hassan Reddick the wrong way. Nolan Smith had a major, major day. And maybe it's because he couldn't get on the field last year. It's not that I forgot about Nolan Smith, but I wasn't thinking of Nolan Smith being the guy that's going to make up that 10, 15 sack, every year in and year out for Hassan Reddick. Do you think we got this wrong? Is Nolan, because we've already heard Vic Fangio talk about Bryce Huff, that he's not there yet on what I want him to do. Is there any scenario where Nolan Smith starts to see the field a lot more than we realize that he's capable of seeing the field?
I think for sure there's a chance. And by the way, it is the Cowboys, not the Packers. Al Harris played for the Packers. I'm not awake yet.
Gotcha.
But anyway, I do think there's a really solid chance Nolan Smith gets a lot of snaps this year, and rightfully so. He's a first-round pick. He was kind of played out of position, I thought, under Sean Desai and Matt Patricia. He was utilized as a straight-up pass rusher last year, and I don't think that's what he is at this point in time in his development. Like I said earlier, I think he's a guy that has elite athleticism. I'm really intrigued at how Fangio is going to employ kind of his linebacker core and, blitzing and getting these guys to attack the quarterback. And that's what Nolan Smith is when he's at his best. So we'll see. We don't know yet. I'm very intrigued how he's going to look. I think he's going to be really good as a pass rusher. The other side of the conversation, though, is which linebackers are we going to complain about the most when we actually have to drop them back into coverage? Because none of them can do that. So that's a big concern, like Zach Bond to Trot to, all these guys. So Nolan Smith. So
I keep putting two things out on Twitter. I keep putting out who's going to make up the sack total from Hassan Reddick and who's going to make up, because you look at, and I see names. Yeah, I haven't heard it outside of Vic Fangio, not trashing him, but being honest about Huff. I haven't heard Bryce Huff's name once outside of Vic Fangio's press conference. That's 75% of snaps approximately. I forget the exact number that Reddick played last year. Huff only played like 46, so there's a big difference there. The snap. I think this year I put out a question the other day. Who's going to lead the Eagles defense in sacks? And very few people, and I said, and how many is it going to be? And very few people commented on it with 12 sacks, 14 sacks for X player. It was a lot of this guy will lead the team with 7.5, or that guy will have 8.5 sacks. We might see that defensive tackle rotation really, really heavy on the defensive end rotation this year, where you're just going to have 2 plays of Smith, and 2 plays of the next guy, then 2 plays of the next guy, and that kind of thing. What's this here?
I stole it.
Oh, did you steal it?
Yeah.
You thief! You're always stealing my content. I love it.
There's Jalen Carter. 49% of the people think he's going to lead the team in sacks.
I mean, it's a lot of people commented on my thread as well that Jalen Carter is the answer. I had one person say Milton Williams, a couple people say Smith, a couple people say Huff. I just think I find it very hard to imagine that any of these guys are capable of getting 10 plus sacks. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just don't know if it's a good thing either. That's the tough part of this conversation here.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot. Probably not until like week 8 of the regular season. Like preseason is preseason. No one's going to play, and they shouldn't play. But at the end of the day, it's you got to give Fangio around 8 to 10 games to make a fair assessment of what that defensive line rotation looks like. Obviously Milton Williams is a guy that should have a huge spike increase in snaps and things like that. So Jalen Carter, we'll see. I'm hopeful that Josh Sweat is a guy that can get back to his form back in 2022. We'll see, man. But I just need to see what the rotation looks like.
Yeah, I don't know why everybody thinks Jalen Carter can get 10 plus sacks. Like, I get it. The guy is supremely talented. The guy is great. But he plays – I don't even know where he's going to play on. Like, is he going to play outside more to get those sacks? I just don't know, not just what the rotation is going to look like, what the lineup on the – like, where they're going to put these guys on the line. I don't know. I think he can lead the team in sacks, but I don't know if he can get to 10. And yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, we'll see.
Sweat is good for, absolutely. Real quick, guys, I'm going to pay one quick bill here, and then we're going to get on to our next part of the show here. Do you want tickets to go see the Eagles play in the preseason or later this season? You want to go to a sporting event? I know Adam has used our promo code multiple times for concerts. The great SherryTickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. Why would you pay more to go anywhere else when you can go here? No hidden fees, great prices, and save 10% by using promo code EOP10. Sports, concerts, theater tickets, you name it, they've got it. They're the best. Why would you overpay with the rest? Save with the best. SherryTickets.com, promo code EOP10. All right, joining us here, we've got another special guest, which I don't have a graphic for a background for 3 guests on this show. So we're just going to have a half-ass background graphic there. My man, we've seen him on this show before commenting. Long time ago, he was on this show. My man, Peanut. Good morning, Peanut. How you doing today? Are you there? I can't. Can you hear him?
Yeah, it's a little muffled.
A little muffled. No. It's his first time ever. It's almost like he's never done a podcast before or anything. This is live TV right here. A little bit better. Oh, man. I love the background of his thing here, So anyway, while he's figuring that out, we've got Peanut on here because he's obviously a huge Eagles fan, host of Birds, Beer, and BS whenever that decides to come back. But also, I'm here to help him promote his son. Just had his first book published, and I wanted to help support this kid here because his son is a fantastic young man, and it's called The Mystery of the Spooky Dookie. So, guys, it's linked down below in the thing. I know Diebs has already purchased it.
I did.
It's linked in the description of this show on YouTube and Facebook, guys. So make sure you check it out. What do you got there, Peanut? You back?
Yeah.
No, we can't. Sorry, my man.
Go into settings and maybe change
go back into settings and test some things out. I'll pull you back up in a minute, okay? All right, sorry about that, guys. Peanut's son is an amazingly young, talented man. He's got his own YouTube channel where he makes cartoons. No limitations for that kid, and that's what I love. So, we'll see if he can get it straightened out in a second, and then we'll get him back on here.
I already bought the book. I
love it.
I work in a private school for autism, and I'm a behavior analyst. So I work in all autism all the time. Yeah. And the school I work in is like the last resort before these kids go to like a residential treatment. So we deal with some crazy behaviors. So I as soon as you mentioned that, I bought the book. I am all in supporting this.
Absolutely. Yo, what's up, Judd? How you doing this morning? Let's see if he's got it back. Anything better?
Can you hear me at all?
A little bit.
Almost. You're almost there. No, not it. He said, screw it, I'm out. Oh my God, I love it. Look, his son, I've met his son on these shows before. His son's a supremely talented young man. And I think everybody, hey, K1, we're trying to help a young man out. We're trying to help his son out here, promote his son's book. He does all this stuff. He does animations. He does graphics. Now he's doing a book as well. I'm just going to put it up there for everybody. If he figures it out, he figures it out. If not, guys, support my man Peanut and his family by checking this book out. If you're interested in supporting it and buying it on Amazon, like I said, the link is below. I wanted to get his takes on the Eagles too, but if we can't get it, we can't get it. We know his takes suck anyway. That's why his show's not on right now because his takes are so bad, no one pays attention. Where were we with the Eagles conversation before I added Peanut there?
Let's see.
It's true.
I think we were talking about the defense.
Yeah, we were still on the defensive line and the defensive ends
Nolan
and stuff
Smith?
like that. Yeah, Nolan Smith. Look, I love it. The other name I'll mention, we'll go back to Peanut and check him out in a second. The other name we heard a lot the last couple of days, and we heard Nick Sirianni mention him as well, is a name that I didn't even think we'd hear from once the entire training camp, was Jalen Hunt. And you're the college guy. You're the college guru. You're the film breakdown guy. Being from Houston Christian, a small school, just converted from a safety. I thought we were, to link it with your basketball knowledge, I put him in the Adem Bona category, where he needs 2 to 3 years before he can really show what he does. But all of a sudden, he's already impressing as a rookie in his first training camp. Thoughts on Jalen Hunt maybe cracking the rotation early on this season?
Yeah, that's a surprise. I'll be honest. I cover the draft all year round, and he was not in my top 100. He's a guy that really rose during the Senior Bowl, during the draft process, and he was clearly Vic Fangio's guy. If you had to point out who the coordinator's guys are, it's like Stoutland and Mekhi Becton, and I think Fangio and Jalen Hunt. Jalen Hunt has a ton of upside. He's an elite athlete. He's a guy that I will be watching this preseason. He's got a really good combination of length and speed and quickness. He looks like a safety on tape, which in a good way. Like, you look at how the Eagles edge rushers, how much they struggle dropping into coverage. He might be their best coverage edge rusher on this team, which is kind of startling. At camp, like you said, he's been reportedly getting to the quarterback. And, he's a guy that, like we said, gives the Eagles a lot of versatility. He's a guy that gives an opposing offense a lot of unpredictability as well, especially when the Eagles line up in 5-man fronts. So I'm excited to see what Vic Fangio or how Vic Fangio employs Jalen Hunt. Realistically, I thought he was at least 2 or 3 years away, which is a little bit of a concern. And there's a big reason why he wasn't in my top 100, because he's already 23 years old. So he's a guy that should be ahead of the curve compared to other guys, other rookies on this roster. But definitely a big name to watch. And you look at this defensive line, guys like Nolan Smith, guys like Jalen Hunt, these guys need to step up and produce. If I had to name the top position for the Eagles in the 2025 NFL draft, it would be a defensive lineman. You look at Josh Sweat in the contract year, you look at Milton Williams, likely out of the Eagles price tag. I wish they would have extended him, but it is what it is. You're the depth at defensive tackle, the depth at edge rusher is definitely kind of a focal point of the preseason.
All right, let's try Peanut here one more time. Do we got you this time?
Let's try one last time. Can you hear me now?
We got you.
Can you hear me now,
my man? It's about time.
All this expense, all this equipment for no reason. What's going on, fellas?
You know what? Just get your equipment off of Temu like me, and it works fine for $30.
I'm about to do some Temu, man, for sure. I'm gonna need to.
Glad to have you on. It's been far too long, my man.
Glad to be on, man.
Before we talk about the Eagles with you and get your thoughts on the Eagles, I want you to give an explanation of this book that your son wrote, and your son and your son's story, because I love your son's story, but I also, I love to see the success that he's having with the no limitations.
Listen, my son was diagnosed with autism around the age of 3 to 4, and as a parent, sometimes it could be a little tough trying to adjust because not a lot of people talk about the adjustment as a parent and how you adjust to what he's going through. But the one thing that I've always strived to do is to make sure that he never felt limited at all. So every time he wanted to do something, we went head on. So the idea of the book was one of those. It started with my brother. My brother was up from Florida, and he said two words, and I just thought it was the funniest thing I ever heard. He said, we were talking about maybe doing a story, a book, and my brother goes, you got to incorporate, spooky dookie, and I thought, man, that's funny. That's and my son thought it was the greatest thing he ever heard. So he started drawing these pictures, and we would come up with me, my wife, and him would sit around, and we'd come up with ideas, and it started to snowball into this idea. And I thought, you know what? Why not publish this thing? And he was all for it. Unfortunately, he's not here today. He's still sleeping. He's upstairs. He's on summertime time. You know what I mean? And today's his birthday. Happy birthday, Evan. But we got to the point where the book was done. We looked at options for publishing, and then we were like, going through this and that. My dog's jumping up on me right now. And finally we got to the point where we were ready to publish this book, and it's out. It's right here. It's Evan and the Mystery of the Spooky Dookie. It's great for kids. Trust me, kids will love it. And we're proud of it. He's proud of it. We're proud of it. And here we are. We're actually selling the book.
It's got to be a pretty awesome feeling. Here we are selling, like, just say that out loud.
Yeah.
Here we are selling a book.
Yeah. Yeah. He's already starting to work on the second one, which is kind of cool. And I think it's going to turn into like a little series that we're going to do. And it's one of the, like I said to my wife, I was like, look, even if we made $100 off of it, right? Who cares? Like 20 years from now, he can say we've published some books, and I'm glad he's happy about it. I'm glad people are receiving it well. And if you have grandchildren, nieces, nephews, it's a perfect book. It's a short book. It's short, snappy, and there's a twist at the end. So it's almost like M. Night Shyamalan for kid stories.
It already sounds like a animated series for Netflix.
Dude, that would be great.
I already bought it. I just bought it, so I'm excited.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
I think you guys will enjoy it.
All right. Well, I am glad. It just makes me so happy to hear these kind of stories and stuff like that. I don't know. It just always puts like I have some rough days behind me the last couple of weeks. Stories like this just uplift my spirits a little bit.
I appreciate it. Yo, Phil, you've been supporting from day one, so thank you, my friend. I appreciate it, man.
All right, let's talk a little Eagles with you.
Let's talk some birds.
Because I haven't seen a Birds Beer and BS show in a long time. You and
Jeff.
you and Jeff have been a little lazy and a little behind the eight ball.
No, you know what? In his defense, Jeff has a newborn baby. I've been going through. I opened up a new business. I've been working 7 days a week, so it's been tough to schedule it. But we'll see what happens. You never know what's in the cards. Hold on, this dog. Come on, dog. Oh, also, he's in the book. This is Reese's, aka Doggo. He's in the book. So this is my pain and my joy that won't leave me alone literally all morning long at my feet, just trying to jump up on my chair. But he's in the book too. But yeah, let's talk some birds. And back to the birds, beers, and BS. Look, whatever's in the cards, it's in the cards. If it happens, it happens. If not, more books.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I want to have a little fun here with you and Diebs here with the first Eagles comment since you're on the show. Something happened yesterday in a conversation with Josh Sweat at press conference. He talked about his number change. And Diebs, I teased a fun little conversation. I'm shocked at the response I got on Twitter that number 9 is unofficially retired with the Philadelphia Eagles. Josh Sweat wanted to change his number. He won at 9. He wasn't allowed. I put it out there. Do we agree that number 9 is a retired number now? And I was shocked how many people said no, it should not be retired because all he did was win a Super Bowl in 2 games. So, Peanut, should number 9?
Oh, you want me to go first?
You go first.
Yeah, absolutely, it should be retired, man. Like all he did was win us a Super Bowl. The one thing we've all wanted for a whole life. I mean, me and Jeffrey get in this argument all the time about the greatest quarterback in Eagles history. And, a lot of people say D-Mac, some might say Randall Cunningham, but I always said Nick Foles because Nick Foles got me the one thing I've always wanted. It reminds me of when they got rid of Chris Carter because all he did was catch touchdown passes. Like, what are we talking about? I think that number should be retired. For crying out loud, the guy has a statue outside the stadium. I mean, at that point, maybe you retire that number. But I'm in agreement of not using that number. Nobody else can use that number until someone else wins. Look, if Josh Sweat sacks a quarterback in a Super Bowl and gets us that Super Bowl ring and trophy we want, then maybe we could talk about it. But until then, Josh Sweat, man, you gotta chill.
Yeah.
That ain't happening.
Steve's thought on this conversation?
I'm all in. I agree. Josh Sweat hasn't earned a goddamn thing. Sorry, that number should be retired.
Yeah, I think numbers, jersey numbers as a whole are overrated. Like people can't wait to see rookies numbers and whatnot, and jersey numbers being retired. I could care less. Like I thought I was going to be the only one that said no, it didn't matter, or let Josh Sweat wear 9. I don't care. It doesn't matter one bit. But I could not believe the amount of outpouring of people saying that they thought that it shouldn't be retired. But as Peanut says, he did win us the one Super Bowl, and that's all that matters. So then do you retire everybody that was on that Super Bowl team? I mean, we don't get to the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz having an MVP season. Are you retiring Carson Wentz's 11? Sorry, AJ. You got to change your jersey number, Brown, because you can't wear Carson's number. Like, at what level do you stop retiring numbers? What's that put? You've got the retired numbers, plus you've got Nick Foles and one other player. I forget. There's 2 or 3, unofficially retired numbers right now. I think Randall's one of them right now. At what point do you just run out of numbers? You just got to stop this.
You just start putting letters. You get AAZ or AB. I think the reason why I have a big problem with it is not just because he won the Super Bowl, but it was how he won the Super Bowl. Like, it's one of those legendary stories. 20 years from now, we're going to be talking about Philly. We're going to be talking about a backup quarterback that was against all odds, winning the one thing that no other quarterback in my lifetime has done for the team. So, I don't know, man. I guess to each his own. You can form your own opinion, but in my opinion, that to me was a special time, and that number is a special number.
We did a show a couple weeks ago on the greatest Eagles players of all time. Do you know where I had Nick Foles ranked among quarterbacks?
Where's that?
2.
Among quarterbacks.
Among quarterbacks.
Who was your number 1 quarterback?
My number 1 quarterback
was who?
McNabb.
Okay, gotcha.
Again, but that was like my life. So just
I'm just trying to think. I mean, I still put McNabb 1. I would probably, man, it's tough to say because he did win the Super Bowl, but he had 2 good games, and that's all he had. I don't know if I could put that in the. I put him higher on the pantheon of greatest Eagles of all time versus greatest quarterback.
24-7 as a starter, man. 24-7 as a starter with the Eagles.
That 27-2 season was a little something right there. I don't know. Peanut, where are you feeling about this Eagles team at this point? With the camp and the rumors and everything that's coming out of camp, there's a lot of I named the whole show about vibes earlier this week, or maybe it was last week. The vibe is there this year. Where are you with the vibes coming out of training camp so far?
I think the biggest, I think the word that comes out of this off season is accountability, and I think that's huge. How do I feel about them? Right now, they're paper tigers. They everything on paper seems right. They have the right players in the right position, minus a couple weaknesses. They have the coaching, hopefully, where it needs to be. Maybe I'm in the minority when I say I'm not nervous per se, but everything's unknown right now. It's like we've hit the reset button. We have all the players, but I don't know if the chemistry is there yet, especially given the situation with Nick Sirianni. I mean, not even situation, whatever. The situation with Sirianni and Hurts, all these like little things that don't seem like they're big deals, but it feels like maybe it's a little bit bigger than it's really being led on. So I'm I'm guessing and I'm hoping that the offensive and defensive coordinators have been solidified. The players seem to be they seem to be in on them. So on paper, they look great. I mean, Hurts is looking faster from what I'm hearing. Although it's the off season, so of course he's going to look faster. But if you ask my opinion right now, a sense of optimism with a sprinkle of pessimism. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how they go. Um, we'll see. We'll see what we'll see. That's it. We'll see.
I love Mister's comment here. Jeff Hostetler won a Super Bowl for the Giants, and his number's not retired from the Giants. And I'm sure that Trent Dilfer's number's probably not retired. Brad Johnson's number's probably not retired. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that win Super Bowls that their number doesn't go retired. So I don't know. I like this comment from Mister. I think it's fair. Diebs.
What's up? Which one? This one?
Yeah, this one.
I mean, it's Philadelphia, so it's just different.
Yeah, I guess it is. 10 epic quarters. Peanut, real quick here, because I got to keep moving on with the show. K1 wants to know, how did you get your nickname of Peanut?
My mom gave it to me a long time ago. I was raised around older cousins and whatnot, and everyone was bigger than me. So I was always like the little Peanut. And at first, I didn't like the name at all. But it's one of those things that sticks with you. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And I tried to shake it. I tried to do the whole real name thing, call me my real name, and it just doesn't work. Especially when people don't remember real names, but they always remember Peanut. It's one of those I don't know, Peanut. So I kept it.
And final question for you, because I will get crushed in the comments if I don't ask it of every guest, because some of these guys don't know you and don't know the fact that you were on this show in the past. I can't find it.
Yes.
There it is. Here's the question right there. Godfather or Goodfellas? Every guest has to answer that question at all times.
Goodfellas, 100%. Maybe I'm in the minority, but Goodfellas to me was one of those movies. I could watch Goodfellas every day if I had to and still enjoy the movie. So not taking anything away from, don't get me wrong, not taking away from Godfather, but Goodfellas, I mean, you can't beat that. You can't beat that.
Again, guys, this is Peanut here, a good friend of mine. Check out his book, his son's book, Mystery of the Spooky Dookie. It's on Amazon.
Please.
Support Evan, please, and his son. Fantastic young man. I linked the description to the book in the on YouTube and on Facebook, wherever you're watching. If you're interested. Guys, Peanut, I appreciate your time, my man.
Thank you very much, Phil.
Hopefully, Evan becomes super famous, and you don't forget about us little peanuts. When you're all rich and famous.
Well, hopefully he doesn't forget about his dad when he becomes super famous. But I appreciate it, fellas. Phil, you've been great. For those out there, please get the book if you want. If not, no biggie, spread the word. I had a great time. Sorry about the mic issue earlier. It won't happen again.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Peanut, guys. Go buy his book. Sorry, I had to cut it out. There's way too much echoing going on there too, with the book there. But guys, if his mic didn't work, I was going to call a lawyer to sue him. And if I was going to call a lawyer, I'm always going to call the best lawyer. If you have a workers' compensation claim, a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law, call David R. Cherry, the Cherry Law Firm, 610-565-0300. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let him fight for you and get you what you deserve, like a microphone that works. He will help you out. Just make sure you mention EOP. Trend the aim. Just call him just to say hi. David R. Cherry, the Cherry Law Firm, 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. All right, we're back at it, Diebs here. I think it's time to move on to some offensive talk with you and get some thoughts offensively, because there was a question earlier in the show about Paris Campbell, and I want to talk a little running backs too today, because we haven't talked running backs outside of Saquon Barkley much on this show. So let's start with the running backs a little bit here. All right, so yesterday Saquon didn't practice yesterday. Personal reasons. I don't know if they said what they were or why he didn't. Maybe it was just an excuse to give him a maintenance day, kind of like Lane Johnson yesterday. But Will Shipley got all the Saquon reps in practice. First and foremost, are you shocked that Will Shipley got those Saquon reps in practice?
I'm not shocked that he would look good with Kellen Moore. We talked about that during our draft shows. I mean, he's definitely the perfect schematic fit with Kellen Moore. He's a great receiver. I was not the highest on Will Shipley during the draft process. I didn't like the pick at first. I was higher on some other names at the time. But you look at Will Shipley, solid in the passing game, and he's a guy that excels in outside runs, outside zone runs. And that's something we should expect a lot from Kellen Moore. And there's no doubt why they targeted Saquon Barkley, who also excels at outside zone runs. So the fit is there. I'm not a Kenny Gainwell guy at all whatsoever. So I'm good with it. For me, when it comes to Will Shipley, getting on the football field, it's going to be those like third downs. And it's all about this preseason, how his pass protection looks. That is where I will be watching, because we expect a lot more pistol under Kellen Moore, 2 running backs in the backfield with Jalen Hurts. One guy probably pass protected, one guy in motion, lining up in the slot as a receiver. So how does Will Shipley's pass protection look during the preseason is something I will be looking at immensely.
And I always joke, because I know K1 is a huge Kenny Gainwell stan, or at least he pretends to be, or it might be Kenny Gainwell's burner account. I don't know. Is Kenny Gainwell's days numbered as a regular part of this offense? Because let's be honest, DeAndre Swift had a great season last year, but I don't know the exact numbers, but it feels like it wasn't an even split, but it was something like 60-40 of, Swift and Gainwell on the field. I expect Saquon to be on the field more, but I also expect the Eagles to semi-protect and not overuse Saquon so that he's fresh for the playoffs. It just throwing out a random number, every 100 snaps, how many of them do you think will have Saquon on the field? Gainwell on the field, Shipley. Is it going to be pretty close, Shipley and Gainwell, or is Gainwell still going to be the main guy? Rookies, it's pass protection, but it's very hard for rookie running backs, especially on good teams, to get on the field.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think both are excellent, as receiving threats. I think Will Shipley might have a little more juice. And for me, it all comes down to who is the better pass protector. If I had to put a number on it, I would probably go Saquon 90 out of 100.
Oh, wow. You think he's going to be that heavily used early on?
Absolutely. That's why you got him, especially as a receiver. And being just the gravity Saquon has on offense in those wheel routes, on those checkdowns. I mean, the stuff we're seeing during preseason is exactly what dreams are made of. But hold on
a second. And I'm not trying to say DeAndre Swift is Saquon Barkley. 2 totally different skills. There's a big range between what they are. But DeAndre Swift was pretty damn elite the first couple of weeks of the season. And he still couldn't get, the Eagles still wouldn't commit to regular usage of him. There were still games where Gainwell was out touching him because of, A, their like of Kenny Gainwell, but B, because the Eagles like to spread it around and rotate those guys in, even at running back. So I was kind of shocked you said 90 out of 100 times Saquon's going to be on the field.
I think the biggest mistake the Eagles made last season was being a pass first, run second team.
Absolutely.
And I think they recognize that. And I think they need to that doesn't necessarily mean that Saquon's going to get targets or I think just him in motion is going to just be huge for this offense, whether that's a bubble screen to Goddard on the other side, or opening up a post route or a curl route for A.J. Brown after Saquon runs in motion. There's just so many different ways we're going to see this Eagles offense employed in 2024. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a more horizontal offense than a vertical offense. And we're going to see Jalen Hurts get the ball out fast, get the ball out to his playmakers, get his playmakers in space. We're going to see Devontae Smith in the backfield, or even A.J. Brown in the backfield for a quick slant, or for a quick screen. So there's definitely going to be a lot of movement. We all know about that. So for me, I think just having Saquon on that field to be a guy that can keep defenses guessing where the ball is going to go is why I think it's going to be at 90.
Yeah, can we make on the over-under show, can we make this one of the over-under questions of the show? The percentage of snaps, because I'm on the under on that too. I see a couple of people saying about Gainwell got it because of his pass blocking. And that's all I was told going into last season. Well, Gainwell will play because he's a great pass blocker. But I remember in my mind, maybe because I'm just remembering the negative because I'm anti-Gainwell, I remember missing some blocking assignments last year. And maybe that's the only argument to be made that Saquon will be on the field more is because Saquon is a much better pass blocker than Kenny Gainwell is. I don't know. I just don't see a path for much for Gainwell. But on the flip side, like everyone's saying, the Eagles like to rotate players. I don't know. I find it hard to imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see the pistol. When the Eagles ran it last year, they were terrific at it. Their numbers were really
I
good.
love the pistol. I do. I really do.
They were so good at it, but they never ran it. Excuse me. And
didn't retire. Evander Holyfield's son, he had a tryout with WWE, or maybe he does this week. I did see a blurb about Evander Holyfield's son having a tryout to, at SummerSlam weekend for the WWE. Just, football players tend to go to the wrestling world when their football careers aren't working out for them. So yeah, there's that. We liked Gainwell during the Super Bowl year. We did. I had no problem. Look, I don't have a problem.
The problem was between the 20s, he was terrific. But when they had the ball in the red zone or had the ball in big moments, he was like their number one target repeatedly during big segments of the season last year. And it was either a drop or a fumble or it was just nauseating, or just the play call was horrible.
I love this question comment from Rick. Running back screens hopefully become a weapon. Look, I've been screaming for it. Under Andy Reid, we ran a lot of running back screens very successfully. And with the offensive line we've had for the last 2 or 3 years, plus the offensive line we still have now, the fact that the Eagles haven't been running back screens, Swift can catch the ball. All we heard last offseason, running backs are going to be catching the ball out of the backfield. Never saw it. With our offensive line, the speed, and we're hearing about the speed of Jalen Hurts, but we're also hearing about the speed of Cam Jurgens at center, and the offensive line. Like, who wouldn't want Cam Jurgens, Dickerson, Mailata, any two of those guys out in front blocking for Saquon Barkley on a running back screen? Like, tell me any defender that wants to have to shed through those two guys to tackle Saquon. I think it would be super successful if they ran this a little bit more often.
Oh man, just it's everything you're seeing at training camp is so exciting. I don't know if we're going to see it during the preseason games. Maybe we'll see it during the joint practices. The media will see it. We won't. But yeah, the Jalen Hurts being healthy is by far the number one story of training camp so far. He's faster. What his legs does for this Eagles offense is just immense. But the duo of Hurts and Barkley in the quarterback draws and the read options and the delays and the RPOs and throwing Saquon in the real routes, it's the stuff dreams are made of, man. It's something we haven't seen the Eagles run a lot of, and I think it's going to pay dividends for Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, a guy that's going to be playing more under center. He can get the ball out fast, trust his receiver, trust his running back, take the 5 yards, take what the defense gives you. I would expect the Eagles Eagles offense is going to see a lot of cover 4 and nickel because of the way they're going to spread things out. And what that means is Jalen Hurts is going to have to trust Saquon to just hand it off and get the 5-6 yards. And that's what the defense is going to give you. That's what he struggled with last year. And it's going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, guys, we're super excited for the Eagles season, and so should you. So you should go check out phillysportstrips.com. Go to their website, sign up. It might be a little late to book the trip to Brazil to see the Eagles take on the Green Bay Packers week 1. If you don't have a passport, you ain't getting one in time. But they also have some other great packages that you can book to support your Eagles team, to travel with your Eagles team. And if you can't get to Brazil to watch the Eagles Green Bay Packers week 1, they're also hosting at the 23rd Street Armory a watch party September 6th for the game. E-Rock will be DJing 22 South 23rd Street in Philadelphia. Guys, it'd be a fantastic time. Maybe you'll even see some EOP guys hanging out there. Maybe. You never know. So make sure you check out phillysportstrips.com. They also have great tailgate packages to go see Mickey Morandini at the Italian Heritage Celebration tailgate. You can book your tickets to see spring training next year. And, of course, like I said, all the other great Eagles takeover trips down to Tampa. We got New York. There'll be a little bus trip to New York there, a little bus trip to Baltimore in December. And, of course, F Dallas week in November. If you want to go down to Dallas and do that, phillysportstrips.com. Mention Edge of Philly Sports. Mention Trey and the AM, guys. You don't want to miss it. They are the best premier travel and tailgate experience company there is out there. You going to be at any of these tailgates or trips?
I want to go to Tampa. I have a friend that lives right outside of Clearwater, and I would love to just crash at his place and just party, man. I
Like,
heard Tampa's a good time.
Tampa's great, but Clearwater's, even better. Like, if I had unlimited funds and I wasn't worried about money or work, I would already be in Tampa or in Clearwater area. Because Clearwater is just beautiful, the best beaches in the world. I like, and you know what? These trips, and if you want to sign up for one of these trips, guys, you better do it soon, because this team and this season, fans are going to be flocking to watch the Eagles here and and everywhere across the country. So you better get your tickets to see these games soon, because they're going to all be sold out no matter what. The Eagles are going to be one of the hottest tickets in town, not just this town, everywhere this year, because of Saquon, because of Jalen, because of the controversy that their name brings wherever they go. It's just going to be a really exciting season for Eagles fans this year.
Absolutely. And Philly sports trips, man.
Yeah.
I know there was potential for me to go to Tampa Bay last year, and they were ready to hook us up. So media passes, you name it. So they're great people, man.
Yeah. Mitch, I have an extreme distaste for going to sporting events. I just don't like crowds. I just don't like lots of people. I don't like traffic. Sorry. My viewing experience on my couch is 100 times better than being in the stadium.
I'm the same way. I need my computer here. I need the stats here. I need my notebook here. And I'm typically standing 3 to 4 feet away from the TV, watching and counting the players on the field, making videos like that. That's my thing. And
absolutely. So the next thing I wanted to get in, because I saw the comment from K1 earlier in the show, and I think he said Paris Campbell redemption season. I think it's the words he used. I think there's a fun battle. We're talking about the cornerbacks nonstop. We're always talking about Jalen Hurts. We're always talking about right guard. I don't think there's enough conversation about wide receiver 3 or the wide receiver room in general. There were a lot of people, and I know you're the draft guy, Smith and Wilson were, very debatable names. People loved them. Some people didn't like those draft picks. But Paris Campbell and John Ross seem to have separated themselves. Yeah, John Ross might be the Paul Turner of 2024. I don't know. But, there's a little bit of a battle brewing at wide receiver right now outside of the top 2 guys. We're hearing a lot of good about Campbell. We're hearing a lot of good about Ross. Both are getting runs with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Who's got the lead in this race, in your opinion, and why?
It's Paris Campbell, just because of his versatility to be inside and out. That's been the theme of today's show. But yeah, I think you could probably circle Anaya Smith as one of the biggest losers of training camp so far. Drop passes, muff punts, all that kind of stuff, which is a shame, because I was a big fan of his during the draft process. I was excited they selected him as a slot receiver. I like his short area burst and quickness and all that kind of fun stuff, but he's just not ready. And
will John Ross make this team? Because I thought there was zero chance, but now I'm starting to get a little bit more. I think that Smith and Wilson, one will make it to the practice squad. You got your 2 starters, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You got Paris Campbell, and then you got Ross, the other rookie, and Britton Covey fighting for the 5th spot. And let me look here. 4 receivers were kept last year, but outside of that, 3 of the previous 4 years, he's kept 5 out of camp. So 4 or 5 guys are going to make the roster. I don't know. I actually think Britton Covey might be on the outs at this point, which is a shame.
So
I do like Britton Covey.
He had a really good camp, or a really good practice the other day. I'm looking at my projections. Anaya Smith might be a practice squad. I think he probably makes the team because he was a draft pick. Johnny Wilson has been playing well, but maybe Covey is the odd man out because they added a lot of returners in the draft.
I mean, because their draft grades, their draft projections a little bit more. Would Wilson or Smith be able to pass through waivers and not get claimed by somebody else and then make it to the practice squad? Because I think that also when Howie Roseman is sitting down with Nick Sirianni and everybody else, and he's like, all right, who are we cutting? You've got to think that sometimes who they cut also determines what they think, whether they can get them back on the practice squad or not.
Yeah, they kept 4 wide receivers on the initial 53 last year.
Because they put Britton Covey on the practice squad to start the season.
Yeah, so you're probably looking at A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Paris Campbell. I would guess Anaya Smith. That's 4. And then you have Johnny Wilson and Britton Covey. And I think wide receiver.
You just wrote Ross right off the team right there. And that's fine. I get it. That's fine.
He's definitely one of the top bubble guys. He's definitely your backup Z outside of Devontae. We'll see. It's going to be decided at the preseason. It's arguably one of their biggest needs, I think, in next year's draft, in that day 2 range. You look at the market for wide receiver, it's crazy right now. And for me, you draft a day 2 wide receiver pretty much every time now because of the talent, the amount of talent that's been coming out of the draft, and the amount of money these guys are making is astronomical. So right now, I would lean John Ross out. Oh man, I think it's going to go between Covey, Wilson, and Ross. I just don't have enough information yet.
I mean, with the new kick and punt return rules and stuff like that, Britton Covey was one of the best punt returners in football last year. People don't realize it. And I like his. I've wanted him to see more opportunities as a wide receiver. They just haven't given it to him. I agree with this. If I think Britton Covey wouldn't make it to the practice squad again. I think he would get scooped up. But is he expendable anyway? Because they don't seem to think he has a fit in the offense anyway. Because so many people can do the punt and kick return with the new rules now, maybe Covey is extremely expendable at this point.
It's fair. And this is why the conversation with James Bradbury is difficult because, this is tight, man. There's, again, you look at the secondary, there's some good players that are not going to make this initial 53.
Yeah. And again, it's who is going to be able to be saved for the practice squads are bigger, so you can keep some of these guys. But I think the league sees the talent on the Eagles and sees the way the Eagles have been doing business. I mean, that's why you could talk about Howie Roseman's business tree or, management tree and all of Howie Roseman's people are getting jobs elsewhere around the NFL, because of it. People are paying attention to what the Eagles are doing. And it's crazy. I do love redemption stories. And I know K1 said, Paris Campbell redemption story, John Ross, the fastest guy in the world. He's literally the Flash. You know what I mean? And, he kind of it's been 2 years, 3 years since he's even played in an NFL game.
2021, yeah.
I love redemption stories. And it's kind of like a redemption story. So I'm always, when we're talking about the 52nd guy on a roster, I'm okay with, I don't know. I fall in love with the redemption story. It's the Paul Turner syndrome. We all fall for it. The Travis Fulgham syndrome. How everybody was so wrong on Travis Fulgham, except for me. I'll just throw that out there again for 100th time. I love those stories. And when you hear about Smith dropping punts, which is what gets him on this team, I don't know. It kind of concerns me a little bit. But I think the wide receiver room as a whole is a very positive place right now.
I agree. I still think they could add more talent, a better talent at wide receiver 3 down the road. But, for this year, it's fine. I still think at the end of the day, like you watch training camp, like at the end of the day, what makes Kellen Moore such a creative offensive coordinator is his ability to get A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith into single matchups and exploit those and get them the ball down the football field. We've been hearing about it all during training camp. Even though it's going to be a more spread out offense, I still think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to get not a ton, but a good amount of looks downfield. So they're going to get the ball. And
who's the speedy wide receiver right now? I mean, I guess Paris Campbell. I mean, John Ross is, but if he's not going to make the team, who else has that? The Eagles, and this is something that makes me think that John Ross has a chance, is the Eagles force-fed us the notion of Quez Watkins, of taking the top off of defenses, even if he's not catching the ball. They like having that guy that could run down the field and stretch defenses out. They've been preaching that for years now. And that's why Quez Watkins was here for so long. Not because he was talented, just because he was fast. If they gave us that, maybe, I don't know.
I like this comment, and Barkley will dictate what the defenses do, stack the box, and either AJ or Devontae will be open. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's why we're going to rely heavily on Saquon, not just getting him the ball, but utilizing him to set up plays downfield in the middle of the field, going left and right versus north to south as well. So I think Saquon is just going to be such a factor in this offense and what it means for guys like Dallas Goedert and opening up the field as well.
Does it even matter who the wide receiver 3, 4, 5 is? As long as Barkley, Smitty, and AJ stay healthy, they're going to see 90% of the touches, the rushes, the passes anyway. And then we haven't even talked about the tight ends this training camp at all. Dallas Goedert, you throw him into the mix. I mean, realistically speaking, how many pass attempts is whoever is your wide receiver 3 or 4 really even going to see? You know what I mean? At this point.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love it.
That's the most, if I had to like prioritize like a list of, or rank a list of things I'm most excited about, the Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley RPO option game is going to be so much fun to watch.
How do you see I kind of started this conversation the other day and I really didn't even have, I started it, but didn't even have an answer to my own question. Was like, all right, what was AJ Brown? Like 1,500 yards ballpark last year. Devontae was like 1,200 yards. Swift had about 1,000 yards rushing. Like if Saquon's up in that 1,500 yard rushing, range, which he could be, even though I don't know if you saw this, PFF had him only 3 yards more of offense than DeAndre Swift in their projection.
Crazy. That's crazy.
It was like 3 or 4 yards more projected rushing than DeAndre Swift had last year.
There were games when DeAndre Swift had like 2 touches and a half.
Yeah, exactly, and that's not going to happen. So all right, so you got to expect more from Saquon. So who's going to suffer? Everybody's going to suffer, right? Or is the offense just going to be that good that we're running 80 plays a game and everyone still gets all their numbers? I'm trying to figure out a balance on, I don't want to use the word projections because I don't really predict much stat-wise, realistically speaking. Like, is AJ going to come down to 1,300 yards? Is Swift going to come down, or not Swift, Smitty going to come down to under 1,000? Like, how's it all going to play out? And that doesn't even take into account if Dallas Goedert actually stays healthy, then his numbers are going to go up. Not that he ever stays healthy, but, there's a lot that goes into it. And I'm curious how the offensive distribution of yardage is going to come into play.
I would guess Dallas Goedert's usage goes up significantly.
Say that 3 times fast.
Goes up big time in 2024. I think why the Eagles were so good in like 2022 was that RPO game with Hurts and Goddard and making teams kind of guess wrong the majority of the time. That RPO game was elite with Hurts and his legs. And if we can get back to that level under Kellen Moore, I think you're like the upside's crazy it's all there for a top 5 offense.
Do you love, and Adam, Madden has AJ Brown's at 95. I think that was the 4th highest wide receiver. I haven't played Madden in a long time. I love Chauncey Gardner-Johnson out there freaking out about his Madden rating and stuff like that. Do players take this way too seriously? It's one thing if you don't like, if you want to complain about where you're in the NFL's top 100 player rankings list that the NFL official site does, that's one thing. But your Madden rating, are we really upset about Madden ratings? Like, maybe because I don't care about Madden anymore. Maybe that's my thing. I don't know.
Yeah. That's come on, CJ. It's not.
Yeah.
That's not
CJ's all freaking out about it. Who cares?
Nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody cares. I had another one here. This one. Here it is. Question from K1 for the guest of the day. Why not?
I came for this. This looks horrible. So I just quit.
Oh man, I love it. Do you think they cut the dead weight Bradbury, Maddox, and Nakobe? Wow, no. Well, if younger players beating them out. Bradbury, we talked about Bradbury, Jay, not Joy, at the beginning of the show. The odds are that he's going to get cut, but Maddox, because of his position flexibility, most likely will not be cut, even though I did predict that there was a chance, and Nakobe isn't getting cut. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Avonte Maddox makes this team, man. You look at what we've been seeing across the defense. I mean, he's exactly what they're looking for as a versatile piece that can fill in wherever needed. As of right now, I mean, I would probably put Avonte as their like slot outside safety. Like he can just be their Swiss Army knife.
I think if they would have upgraded safety a little bit more with like a Justin Simmons, then maybe you could have that conversation that maybe because Maddox only signed like a 1 year, like $3 million deal or something like that. It was really cheap. And Nakobe Dean, all the reports out of camp is, he's not in the ones with Bond and Devin White right now. But he is getting reps with the ones because he's healthy, he's fast, he's picking up the defense, he's picking up the language. He is one of those guys that, if you want to use the cliche term, whose stock's going up and whose stock's going down. I would have to say that Nakobe Dean's stock is going up at this point. It's just, can he stay healthy to get on the field and show what he's capable of?
Yeah, and it's not like Devin White's a lock by any stretch of the imagination.
True.
Again, the conversation we're going to be having in like a month from now is who the hell covers, who the hell drops back into coverage, things like that. But I like Nakobe Dean, and he added weight during the offseason, which is huge. Like his lower body looks bigger, so that's big for his growth. And I don't think Devin White is a lock as a starter by any stretch of the imagination. I think he probably is a likely starter, but like him in coverage is not good, man. It is not good.
We've heard a lot of reports of Dean, White, even Trotter Jr. got a couple shout outs yesterday for the linebackers side to side coverage, but we haven't seen one report positive or negative, not even the negative end of it, about them dropping into coverage. Who out of those four guys, who's the best coverage line? Because they're all pretty in that coverage situation. Who's the best coverage guy out of them?
Jesus, that's a great question. I mean,
maybe Bond, maybe Zach Bond.
Well, Zach Bond is an edge rusher, man. You brought him in to rush the passer.
Well, they like those edge guys that could drop into coverage. So I'm thinking that maybe he's got a little bit of that, in him. That's the theory. I don't know. I don't know who can cover. Who's going to cover? I don't know. Give us who's the biggest tight end that we're facing this year? Hold on. Where's the Eagles' schedule here? Early in the season. I mean, week 2. I mean,
if you go back to like Nakobe Dean's Georgia days, I believe his coverage numbers were pretty solid.
Yeah.
And again, we're projecting big time, but that's the concern. That's the biggest concern I have is it's a mismatched league, and opposing offenses will get our linebackers in coverage and expose that every single time. That is by far the biggest concern I have with this defense is the linebackers.
Automatic spot to lose. Steve is so much push, but everyone keeps talking about the push play. Yeah, and look, it might go away. Maybe that's where the offensive numbers. Maybe we see a little less rushing from Jalen Hurts. I don't want them stunting the young guys' growth like Nolan Smith last year.
Agreed.
I don't know. It's I don't know if they stunted Nolan Smith's growth last year. I just don't think there was room for him last year. I don't know. Pitts is, I guess, the first tight end that we really have to concern about week 2. I don't even know who Green Bay's tight end is at this point. So Kyle Pitts, but they don't ever throw Kyle Pitts the ball anyway in Atlanta. So I'm not sure there. Liz Frank injuries are career-threatening. Cross your fingers for Nakobe Dean. Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, guys, one final sponsor of the show here is the Great Bar. Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park. For 65-plus years, they've been the quintessential Irish-American dive bar in Delaware County. Great food, great times, great memorabilia giveaways. DolansBar.com. You can find them on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Just let them know. Let PJ and the crew know. You heard about them right here on Edge of Philly Sports. Maybe there might be some cross promotions coming up in the times, but, stay tuned. One of the best right there in my old home, backyard right there in Ridley Park, guys. And also, guys, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button. 7-day-a-week programming right here on Edge of Philly Sports. You can't miss it later today. We got On the Shane page. We've got Birds of a Round Table, Chalk Talk, and of course Phillies Yankees post-game show tonight. So we're gonna go Diebs. I don't know if you've seen this new graphic we got on the show here. I'm gonna go first, but I'm gonna put you to the thing. The Skip Payless hot take of the day, just to prove that we can be dumb ass hot take people, just like the major media. So I'm gonna give a Skip Payless hot take. I had a work one, but yesterday I went work, so I'll save my work one for tomorrow. My hot take, and this is getting off the Eagles, guys, just for 1 second. My Skip Payless hot take of the day: the Philadelphia Phillies will get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. No hand. They are not getting past the first round. They're not. They're done. They're not even making it to the NLDS. They're done. They're out. I have totally packed the bag in on this team. They're lifeless. They are the Atlanta Braves that won over 100 games in the last 2 seasons. That is them this year. They are just going to fall flat on their face, and they're done. That is my Skip Payless hot take of the day. Diebs, do you got an Eagles? Monday, my hot take was that the Team USA isn't going to medal, just so you know. You got an Olympic medal, a Sixers. You got an Eagles hot take that you're not going to be held accountable if it doesn't work out. It's just for fun.
No, my hot take is I think the Eagles are being a little overrated right now. I think overrated. I'm like, there are some real concerns about this Eagles defense. Whether that's linebacker, depth at safety, depth at defensive tackle, guys on the edge, young guys that need to step up. I'm excited for the Eagles offense, but at the end of the day, like I have on paper there, I think there's some reason for skepticism when it comes to this defense. So I saw the over-under for the Eagles wins around like 10.5. I think that's a really good number. And I think if I had to make a hot take, and I don't believe it, but I'll say the under.
Yeah. Under hold on. Do you say under the 10.5 wins? Wow.
Yeah.
No. See, I said you wouldn't be held accountable, but now I'm going to hold that accountable.
No.
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 Clipping that out and I'm saving it right there.
I do think there's some real concerns.
First round exit. Yeah, first round exit. That's my look. Again, we're just having fun. We're just doing what the big names do on TV now, and just throw random shit up against the wall to see if it sticks, just to get clicks. And look, it's working because you're all commenting on my hot take now that the Phillies are going to get knocked out of the playoffs in the first round. Done. Do not put that juju in the universe. I don't want it to happen.
Hot take.
It's going to happen.
Zach Bond will lead the Eagles in total sacks.
Wow, there's a hot take right there. That's good. It's good. Anyway, again, shout out to Stevie for the fire graphic there. Love it. Let's get that off there. How's that bagel? Was it good?
So good.
Yeah. I didn't have breakfast yet. I'm kind of I'm sitting here thinking how hungry I am right now, and I got to end this show in like 4 minutes, and I got to run, so I don't even have time to eat today. But whatever. Diebs has been saying 10 wins or under for a while now. That's crazy because, man, that means there's 7 losses on this schedule here. And I don't know if I could get behind 7 losses on this schedule.
I went through it on another show. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, man.
I mean, I get it because I have some of the same concerns with the team that you do. I also think the team is being overhyped. I'm not predicting 14 or 15 wins, but I think they should be able to coast to at least 11 wins with that schedule because I think it's much easier than it was in the past few years. Breaking Deep says the Eagles aren't making the playoffs. What? Don't you dare. That's the juju we never put into the word.
I never said that.
Under 10.5 wins, Kellen Moore will be the head coach. I don't think it's a hot take. Kellen Moore will be a head coach in 2025. Whether it's the Eagles or somewhere else, that's the question.
Yeah, all the Bill Belichick stuff is nonsense. If the Eagles are going to have a new coach, it's going to be Kellen Moore.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And get the Bill Belichick conversation that people are spreading out of there. We don't need that. Oh my God! It's not a hot take that pork roll, egg, and cheese is a bad sandwich. It's not a hot take. It's just a straight fact, Barbara.
It's the best sandwich.
It's the worst. We did this on a show.
Best breakfast sandwich, bar none. Pork roll, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel.
Throwing up in my mouth right now.
Pork roll is a better breakfast meat than bacon. That's my hot take.
No. I'm throwing up in my mouth right now. Little side story. The reason I have this pork roll, opinion isn't because I don't like pork roll. It's because I worked at a pizza shop that had breakfast, on the weekends, and it was in college, so I'd be partying all night at college, and I would drive to the pizza shop to open up for breakfast at like 6 a.m, and there would always be that one portion I would have to take on the flat top grill and put a piece of pork roll on that grill, still drunk from the night before, and the smell of the pork roll curling on the grill. I just have nightmares of the smell. There's 2 or 3 food items from restaurants I've worked in that just give me nightmares. And pork roll, while I'm still drunk, cooking it on the flat top grill, I don't know. I have nightmares of that. I just do. Sorry. And it's probably really good. I probably really like it, but I can't get past something that happened to me 20 years ago, 25 years. Oh, how long ago that was? That was like, I was like 19. So that's like 25 years ago. God damn, I'm old. You can't eat. Don't you work it? I'm going to eat once I get to the pizza shop. I didn't have time this morning to eat. That's all it is. But can't stop what's coming. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. I got to make breakfast pizza. I used to make breakfast pizzas, Adam. It used to be a special, and people loved them. So I added it to the menu, and once it was officially printed on the menu, not one person ordered a breakfast pizza for literally like 6 months straight. And I was throwing out eggs left and right. So I took it off the menu, and now everybody wants it again. I can't win in the pizza business, just so you know. but a breakfast pizza is a fantastic pizza item for sure.
Sounds good.
Pork roll for bread. No, stop. Stop. Phillies need a player with the trolling skills of Joel Embiid to get the media attention. Yeah, they do that. Look, we will talk Phillies a little bit tomorrow on this show. The trade deadline is today at 6 p.m. Will they make another move or not? We'll discuss that tomorrow. Jeff Warren, Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast, will be joining us to talk Eagles and to talk the Phillies at the trade deadline as well. So we just found out that we have a psychopath co-hosting the show.
If you like, oh man, a pork roll, egg and cheese sandwich on the beach in New Jersey, that is the greatest thing ever. It's just
Hold on.
you got it. If you know, you know.
Hold on a second. Does Wawa make a pork roll breakfast sandwich?
I don't think so.
So it must not be that good then. Because if it was so popular and good, Wawa would have it in their little heat display like they do all the other breakfast sandwiches. Just saying. Saying.
Yeah.
Do I have a good point? I think I make a good point right there, don't I?
I mean, fair. I mean, I haven't been to Wawa in like 10 years because they're trash now. So.
Oh, well, that's 100% accurate there for sure. Thank you very much, Stevie. I appreciate you, my man. All right, Diebs, what do you got coming up this week on the channel? Obviously, I know you're working on the 2047 draft prospects already. So what do we got going on this week?
Last night we had Anthony DeBona on Party on Broad talking a lot of Eagles, positional battles, all that fun stuff. Tonight, the gang is finally back together again. Everybody's been very busy the last few weeks, but Birds of the Round Table talking more Eagles, Shane, David, Ryan, and myself. Talking more birds. We have college football season starting in less than a month. So I've been putting out these like little short scouting reports on some of the big names you should know about. Sunday nights, we've been doing our NFL draft show, me and Ryan. It'll be very Eagles focused. So we ranked our top 10 defensive linemen.
Who are the two or three best teams this year in college football? Because again, I don't really pay super close attention. So I don't know who's got the best, recruitment classes and whatnot.
Yeah, Georgia, Alabama. I mean, Jalen Milroe, Carson Beck. Those are names you're going to be hearing a lot. Oregon.
No concerns about Alabama without Nick Saban or anything like that.
There's concerns, but I mean, they've got it. They changed things up with their offensive coordinator midseason last year, Tommy Rees, and I think this year they're just going to hit the gate running with Jalen Milroe, who's just an absolute stud. And that their offensive line is loaded. Ohio State. Everyone returned for Ohio State. And then Oregon now has Dylan Gabriel, a transfer from Oklahoma, who is a big-time Heisman candidate. That offense is loaded as well. So it's a really good year in college football. The 12-team football playoff will be starting this season as well. So expect a lot of power rankings. I forgot about that. Jeez. Yeah, expect a lot of power rankings. Expect a lot of like Eagles draft targets of the week. We're going to be throwing some sports betting involved, like who's going to have the better stats, which player. And then I also make a lot of shorts like winners of the week. So expect a lot of like highlights and winners of the week with me talking about their numbers and things like that.
Awesome stuff, guys. That's why you hit the like button, but that's why you also hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to turn the notifications on, because you just never know when information from Diebs or any of the shows go live right here on Edge of Philly Sports. But with that being said, we're going to wrap up for the day. I got to go start making some pizzas, and Diebs has got to enjoy the rest of his day off here. With that being said, guys, hit that like button, share button, subscribe button, retweet, follow wherever you are watching. Back tomorrow, Jeffrey Warren, Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast, MLB trade deadline recap, Eagles, more from today. Pads, we're hitting today. So I can't wait to see the reports that the players are hitting and how everybody looks now that the practices become real today. But with that being said, guys, I am Phil Stiefel, your host. This is Train the AM on Edge of Philly Sports. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Ring that bell. Go Birds. And as I say now always, bubbles up to you.